In this video, I'm going to share with you about MDMA, about its healing potential, but also about what can go terribly wrong in an MDMA experience. My name is Alice. I'm from a whole new Ohio. Welcome to our channel. So I have taken MDMA several times in my life for healing purposes. It is at the moment being legalized in the United States. It's not legal yet, but it's going through the process of getting legalized to be used in a therapeutic setting, especially to heal PTSD. But at the moment, they're also testing it for depression and other mental illnesses. Several years ago, I saw a video of an MDMA trial, somebody being interviewed who went through the trial and healed their PTSD with it. And since I was dealing with a lot of childhood trauma at that time, I thought, okay, I'm going to try this too. And I tried it one time just by myself. That was really healing. And I have tried it several times with a sitter, which was extremely healing. And then I have tried it several times to do it in healing sessions where both people take the substance together. And to be honest, that has gone very wrong twice, and I want to tell you about that. But I also want to tell you about the healing potential of MDMA and what it has done for me, because I don't want to down talk MDMA, but I want to inform you about the risks that comes with taking MDMA as well, so you're well informed about that. So for me, MDMA was extremely healing in the sense that I felt like it was the best day of my life. I felt better than ever, and I felt like, yes, I can take care of myself and I can be my own healer, and I can just go and look at anything that happened in my childhood that usually would scare the shit out of me, and I could just go and look at it, and it didn't scare me. I could go through the trauma, I could go through all the feelings, I could go through all the emotions that are usually so scary to feel, and just feel them. And they just are. They're not good, they're not bad, not positive, not negative, they just are. And that's, for me, what makes MDMA so healing, is that in these moments, everything just is. And for me, my judgment completely leaves me. And could even, like, just to give you an explanation, one time I went into ice cold water while I was on MDMA, something that you shouldn't do because MDMA changes your body temperature regulation, so this is very dangerous to do that. But that was back then when I was trying things out, and I was a little bit irresponsible, but that's why I want to share that with you, because I learned all these lessons. But going back to that experience where I went into really freezing cold water, and I'm a person, I don't like the cold, and usually when I go into cold water, my whole body tenses up and I freeze, and I want to get out because it's uncomfortable. And on MDMA, I just walked through the cold water, and I was like, that's what cold water feels like. And the judgment was gone, and without the judgment, even my body wasn't tensing up, and I was just really relaxing into the cold. And that's what happens with emotions too. If you usually feel like you can't cry and you take MDMA with the intention to heal and to, like, for therapeutic reasons, you might open up and burst into tears for hours, and it feels so good in that moment because there's no more judgment. With anger, if you're somebody who has trouble expressing anger, like I used to have a lot of trouble expressing anger, with MDMA, I could just scream it out, or in whatever way it wanted to express itself, let it out, release it. That's why it was extremely healing for me, and has brought a lot of healing into my life. But I want to also share with you about the 2 times that I took it where I was not very careful. So that was many years ago, when I was not myself a therapist working with psilocybin. which is another psychedelic medicine, um, where I was just testing out these substances for my own personal healing. And yeah, I did have people to help me, guide me through, but I didn't work with a professional therapist. So I took it once with a friend, and we didn't have a scale, so we just guessed. We had 1 gram, and we wanted to take around 150 to 200 milligram, and must have taken a lot more, but we don't know how much we took. But I would guess now that we probably took, like, judging now that I had like a scale afterwards, I'd say that what we had was a lot more than 1 gram, and we took probably about 500 milligram each, which is really, really high. And we were in the forest with nobody around to help us. And it kicked in, and we both got really, really, really high. And it was also a really healing experience. Not that it went wrong in the moment itself, but it brought up a lot of childhood trauma, and it brought up too much. Then we were able to deal with, and we were able to heal. Like, I don't regret it, because I usually don't regret what I did in my past, and I learned from it. And I also really healed what came up in that experience, but it took me a long time. And the problem was that the next day I felt so open and so vulnerable and so much like hypersensitive. And I went home and I was scared of everything. And it lasted for 3 months. I was scared. I couldn't sleep alone. I couldn't even be in the apartment alone at nighttime. I was extremely scared. And yes, this experience brought up childhood trauma. I brought it to the surface. But in these 3 months afterwards, I was not really functionable, because I was so scared. I was very suspicious of everyone around me. I would, see whatever, like I could sense what was hidden in their shadows, and that would really, really scare me. I had very high anxiety too for 3 months. And while I believe that it is a lot of childhood trauma that came up, I also believe that because of the high dose that we took, it changed something in my brain chemistry, that it took 3 months for my body to reestablish the serotonin. And it was a really difficult and intense time. And while it was healing in the end, now looking back at it, healing can also go much gentler, and it doesn't have to be that harsh. And the second time was some time after, and I was now really careful. I had worked a lot with MDMA in therapeutic settings, so I had healed a lot. I was in a really good place. And so I decided I just wanted to take it one more time for fun, without like the intention. I always set intentions, but this time my intention was just to have fun. And I did it with a friend, and we both had the same intention. And we were really careful. We had our scale and we measured it, but somehow we believed that the scale must have been broken, because it was a lot more intense than it usually is, and it lasted a lot longer. Usually it lasts around 6 hours, and it lasted around 10 hours, and after 6 hours it was still like no calming down inside. And that was a very scary experience for me, because my friend fainted And in that moment, I thought that she was dead, just for a few seconds. And in that moment, I felt completely incapable to help her because we were both high. I was high. And it just traumatized me in that moment. Like, it traumatized me. And I was extremely anxious for the rest of the night. It was not fun. And for, again, 3 months afterwards, I was extremely, extremely anxious. And again, I believe the dose was higher than it needed to be. So again, it changed something in my brain chemistry, and that probably was combined with the shock that I had when she fainted, and I believed that she was dead in that moment. Everything worked out well. Like, it turned out that she faints sometimes, but yeah, this is the danger of MDMA, and that's why I only recommend doing it with a therapist. And if you're in the US, you may be able to apply to be part of the trial studies, because it is extremely healing when you do it together with a therapist. If you do it together with a friend, I do not recommend that because I had very difficult experiences with it. But if you are like, okay, no, I really need to do this, always have a sober person present that can help if something goes wrong. Then also something that is really important to know is the water consumption when you are on MDMA. It's extremely important that you don't drink too much water, but that you also do not drink too little, that your body stays hydrated, but that you don't flood yourself with water. So 1 to 2 cups of water per hour are recommended, and do not drink more than 2 cups and do not drink less than 1 cup. That's important to keep yourself safe when you're on MDMA. Also really important, I have mentioned that before, is to not go into cold or hot water when you're on it, because your body cannot regulate the temperature anymore the way it usually can, and that can be fatal. Like, these are 2 very important things to remember if you really want to do it. Yeah, that was my story about MDMA and how it can be extremely healing, but also my 2 stories where I feel they've gone wrong. There was a lot of healing potential there, and a lot of healing came out of it, but it was just really, really hard to go through these 3 months of high anxiety and just feeling raw and open and vulnerable. And yeah, so if you like that story, click like. If you have a similar MDMA experience, or if you have a question, just comment below, and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you very much.